Story 1. The House on Blackwood Lane. This is a story that will shock you. It was the summer of 2019 when I first heard about the house on Blackwood Lane. Locals said it had been abandoned for nearly 2 decades, ever since the Parker family vanished without a trace one October night. No signs of struggle, no forced entry. Their dinner plates still on the table, but the family was never seen again. I was 22 back then, working a dull summer job and craving something exciting to distract me. When my friend Luke told me about the house, I laughed it off at first. But curiosity has a way of turning into obsession, and within days I found myself standing at the end of Blackwood Lane, staring at the looming silhouette of the Parker house. The air was heavy, unnaturally still. Even the crickets were silent. I pushed open the rusted iron gate, its screech echoing like a warning. The yard was overgrown, weeds twisting up the porch steps. The front door hung slightly ajar, as if waiting for someone to enter. I told myself I'd just take a look, maybe snap some pictures, and leave. But the moment I stepped inside, the temperature dropped. The air smelled of mildew, dust, and something else, like rotting wood, or maybe rotting flesh. The hallway stretched in darkness. Wallpaper peeled in long strips, and the wooden floor creaked under every cautious step. My flashlight beam cut through the gloom, catching glimpses of picture frames on the walls. But when I stopped to look, I realized all the photographs had the faces scratched out. At first, I thought maybe vandals had done it over the years, but the scratches weren't random. They were deep, deliberate, almost ritualistic. I whispered to myself, "Just keep moving." The living room looked frozen in time. A dusty sofa, a cracked television set, and an old piano in the corner. One key was pressed down as if someone had just touched it. And then, before I could process it, the sound rang out. Plink. The same key struck again. I froze. No one was near the piano. I backed away, heart racing, when I heard another sound upstairs. Slow, deliberate footsteps. Someone was here. I should have left right then. I should have bolted through that open door and never looked back. But my body didn't listen. Instead, I found myself creeping toward the staircase, my flashlight trembling in my hand. Halfway up, I stopped. The air was heavier here, pressing down on me like a weight. The footsteps had stopped too. "Hello?" I whispered, my voice cracking. Silence. I forced myself to keep climbing. The second floor was even darker, the air colder. My flashlight beam swept across a hallway lined with doors. Every one of them was closed. I chose the first one on the left. The door groaned as I pushed it open. Inside, the room looked like a child's bedroom, small bed, toys scattered on the floor. But every doll's eyes had been gouged out. I felt sick. As I turned to leave, I heard breathing. Not mine. Slow, heavy breathing, right behind me. I spun around, flashlight flashing across the room. Nothing. Just the peeling wallpaper and the eyeless dolls. I stumbled into the hallway, my pulse thundering in my ears. That's when I saw it. At the far end of the hall, a figure standing perfectly still. A tall silhouette, its face hidden in shadow. I raised my light, and for a split second I saw its face. It was me. My own face staring back, twisted into a grin I knew I'd never made. The light flickered, and when it steadied again, the figure was gone. Panic surged. I ran for the stairs, but the hallway seemed to stretch, the doors multiplying, the floor bending beneath my feet. I screamed, but the sound was swallowed by the walls. And then I heard whispering, dozens of voices, hissing, chanting, rising to a deafening roar. I dropped my flashlight, plunging into darkness. Somehow I stumbled back to the staircase, tumbling down the steps. My shoulder slammed against the wall, pain shooting through me, but I didn't stop. The front door was gone. Where it had been was now just another wall, seamless, as though no door had ever existed. I pounded on it, screaming, but the whispers grew louder, surrounding me, closing in. And in that suffocating dark, the last thing I remember before blacking out was a hand, ice cold, wrapping around my throat. When I woke up, it was morning. I was lying in the yard outside the Parker house, the gate swinging gently in the breeze. I stumbled home, convinced it had all been a nightmare. But when I checked my phone, I found pictures I didn't remember taking. Pictures of the hallway, pictures of the dolls, pictures of myself, sleeping inside the house. And in the very last photo, someone else was holding the camera. Story 2. The Hollow Creek Asylum. You will be shocked to hear this story. Everyone in town knew about Hollow Creek Asylum. It had been closed since 1977, after a fire killed several patients and staff. But the fire didn't destroy the whole building. The charred, broken remains of the asylum still stood on the outskirts of town, its windows black and hollow, like empty eyes staring out at the world. When I was a kid, people told stories about the place. They said screams could still be heard at night, echoing from the ruins. They said shadows moved behind the windows, even though the building was abandoned. I always thought it was just local folklore, the kind of stories meant to scare kids into behaving. But last winter I found out how wrong I was. My friends and I had dared each other to spend one night inside the asylum, just for fun. There were 5 of us, me, Tyler, Jenna, Marcus, and Claire. We brought flashlights, snacks, and a single camera to document our little adventure. When we got there, the place felt wrong immediately. The gate was twisted and bent, the courtyard overgrown. The fire-blackened walls rose up against the night sky, blotting out the stars. Inside, the air was thick with soot and mold. Graffiti covered the walls, but underneath it you could still see faded patient numbers stenciled in black paint. We started in the main hall. Our footsteps echoed unnaturally, too loud, as though the building itself was amplifying the sound. Tyler joked to lighten the mood, but no one laughed. We found old wheelchairs rusting in the corners, medical charts scattered on the floor. A surgical table still stood in one of the rooms, the leather straps cracked with age. That's when Jenna said she heard something, a voice, whispering. We froze, shining our flashlights into the dark. "Hello," she called out. Her voice shook. No answer. But then, faint laughter drifted down the hall, childlike, high-pitched. Marcus cursed under his breath. "There are no kids here." We followed the sound deeper into the asylum. The corridors twisted like a maze, paint peeling in sheets, doors hanging open. At one point, Claire swore she saw someone move across the hall ahead of us, but when we got there, the hallway was empty. Then we found the basement stairs. The air coming from below was colder, damp, carrying the stench of something foul. Against my better judgment, we went down. The basement was a labyrinth of tunnels and storage rooms. Water dripped from the ceiling, echoing endlessly. And that's where things really went wrong. Tyler went first, filming with the camera. Suddenly his light caught something on the wall. Words scratched into the concrete over and over. "Help me, help me, help me." The scratching was fresh. And then we heard it, the sound of chains dragging across the floor. Our flashlights swung wildly, and in the darkness ahead a shape moved. Tall, hunched, its limbs too long. It dragged something metallic behind it. Tyler whispered, "What the hell is that?" The figure stopped. Slowly its head turned toward us. Two glowing eyes stared back, unblinking. We ran. Panic took over. The tunnels twisted. Doors slammed shut on their own, splitting us apart. I lost sight of Marcus and Claire. Jenna screamed behind me, then her voice cut off. When Tyler and I finally burst out into the courtyard, we were alone. No Jenna, no Marcus, no Claire. We called the police the next morning. They searched the asylum but found no trace of our friends. Just 3 sets of clothes neatly folded in the basement, as if they had been waiting there for years. I don't go near Hollow Creek anymore, but sometimes when I can't sleep, I replay that night in my head, and I can still hear the laughter. Story 3. The Train That Never Arrived. In 1998, a midnight train left from Hollowford Station with 62 passengers on board. It never reached its destination. There was no crash, no wreckage, no explanation. The train simply vanished. Since then, people in Hollowford whisper about the phantom train. They say that if you wait at platform 6 after midnight on a stormy night, you'll see it again. Its lights glowing, its wheels screeching, carrying the souls of the lost passengers. I never believed in ghost stories, but 2 years ago I saw it myself. It was late. I had missed the last regular train and was stuck at the station alone. The rain poured down, the kind that soaks you to the bone. Lightning flashed, and for a moment I saw something strange at the far end of the tracks. Headlights, bright and unnatural. At first, I thought another train was arriving, but the schedule showed nothing at that hour. The air grew cold, my breath fogging in the night. The sound of wheels screeching filled the platform, louder and louder, until it hurt my ears. And then it appeared. An old passenger train, its metal rusted, windows fogged. The lights glowed faintly green, sickly and unnatural. It screeched to a halt and the doors slid open with a hiss. I don't know why, but I stepped inside. The interior was dim, the seats torn, the air reeking of mildew. Passengers filled the car, but none of them looked right. Their faces were pale, sunken, eyes hollow. They didn't move. They didn't breathe. I stumbled down the aisle, whispering, "Hello?" No one responded. Then one of them turned its head. Its mouth stretched into an unnatural smile, lips splitting wider than humanly possible. I bolted for the door, but the train lurched forward. The windows blurred with rain, the station disappearing into darkness. I ran to the conductor's cabin, but it was empty. The controls were rusted, the levers frozen in place. Yet the train moved faster and faster. From behind me I heard the passengers stand, dozens of footsteps moving in unison. I turned. They were all facing me now, their smiles wide, their eyes glowing faintly. The train plunged into a tunnel, the darkness absolute. The only sound was their footsteps closing in. And then, silence. When I woke up, I was back on the empty platform. My clothes were soaked, my shoes caked with mud. I would have thought it was a nightmare, if not for the ticket in my pocket. An old, yellowed train ticket. Date, 1998. A nightmare, if not for the ticket in my pocket. An old, yellowed train ticket. Date, 1998. This is where we end the video. If you also enjoyed listening to these two stories, then like the video and subscribe to the channel.